Hello and welcome to Euromonitor International's Fashion Friday podcast series, discussing global trends in fashion, luxury, apparel, and footwear. Today I'm joined by Ben Schneider, Olivia Stelmashchik, and Jitong Lee from our Chicago office, who all research the beauty and fashion industries. Ben, Olivia, Jitong, how are you doing today?
Hey, Jessica, doing well. How are you?
Doing good. And you guys actually haven't met me before in real life. I am new to the Euromonitor team, and I want to introduce myself to you guys and to the listeners of Fashion Friday. My name is Jessica Ridenour, and I am the new multimedia producer here. I actually started out in the fashion industry, and I've been modeling off and on since I was a kid. And recently I've moved more into the production side of things. So I'm really excited to be here and talking with you guys about fashion and specifically this topic.
Welcome, Jessica. It's great to have you on the Euromonitor team, and we're excited to talk about this topic today, too.
Well, today we're going to be discussing a topic that I am extra excited about, and that is fashion resale. And I want to start off by asking a couple of questions to you guys. So do any of you shop secondhand?
Yeah, actually, I have a handbag purchased from the Real. Yeah.
Oh, yeah? What kind of handbag?
From Marc Jacob.
Nice. Yeah. And did you purchase that recently, or is?
Oh, it has been about 5 years ago.
Okay, cool. So you've been on top of it. Anybody else?
I've definitely shopped secondhand for a long time. I've loved going to thrift stores and kind of having that like hunt for the unique piece experience.
Oh yeah, definitely going through the racks and you find that one like pristine Ralph Lauren jacket. It's the
that
best.
Happens to be in your size.
Oh, it's meant to be. What about you, Benjamin?
Yeah, I've started shopping resale a little bit recently, too, just to find kind of more unique pieces. I actually have bought some jewelry from the Real, and then just going through the racks at some thrift stores in Chicago have found some really great finds, too.
Excellent. So it sounds like we've got the hunt for the bargain, looking for unique pieces. Are there any other reasons why you guys shop secondhand?
I also like shopping secondhand because of the idea of like turning one person's trash into my treasure and helping to kind of get rid of the huge landfill of thrown out clothes every year.
Yeah, I think that goes both ways too. Whenever I donate or I sell an item, it's exciting for me to think that somebody else is going to take this item and love it, whereas I might not have loved it as much as it deserved to be loved. Anybody have a favorite item that they've bought on resale?
Yeah, so actually at one of the consignment shops up in Lakeview in Chicago, I found a Loro Piana sweater. At the time, I wasn't so sure, exactly how much it was worth, but it was about $70 at the store. And then I went home on the website and found it was like $2,000 to buy new.
Nice. I found once at an estate sale, which is like an entirely different venue for resale. I found a cashmere Dior sweater for my husband.
That's so lucky.
It's like the most thrilling moment of my life. So, I mean, obviously, I am a huge fan of buying resale fashion. And I should note for all of the listeners at home and for you guys, you can't see my full outfit, but I am like head to toe resale thrifted outfit right now. So we've established the state of fashion resale in this room between us. Let's talk about the larger fashion resale market in the US. So generally speaking, can one of you tell me what the current state of this market is?
Yeah, so the resale market is definitely booming in the US. Even though the idea of secondhand fashion has existed for a long time now, just like we mentioned, kind of thrift or vintage stores, but really the advent of online resale platforms has changed how consumers can buy and sell used items. So today, consumers of all ages, but especially millennials and Gen Z, are increasingly shopping on these new resale platforms with different motivations that can range from environmental to economic to social.
Personally, I like to shop resale because I like to have a lot of closet turnover with less guilt. So what do you think is driving other consumers to these new platforms?
Yeah, I think what you mentioned, Jessica, plays a big part in consumers' motivations. We've seen that consumers are becoming increasingly value-oriented and environmentally conscious, with many of them seeking more sustainable consumption practices in their daily lives. So the ability to extend the life of their products by selling and buying on resale sites instead of throwing out items to make room for new clothing is particularly attractive. And also, since many consumers across income bands are reassessing their spending priorities following the pandemic, they're becoming motivated to shop resale thanks to the lower price points compared with new clothing, making certain products and even luxury brands more accessible to them.
Right. Yeah, and we all know, like you said, the pandemic has shifted a lot of people's values, but I imagine that just the fact that people have spent so much time at home has got them thinking about their wardrobes in a different way.
You're right. Consumers were not only encouraged to clean out their closets, leading to more items being offered for resale, but they also discovered new clothing trends on social media platforms like Instagram and especially TikTok, which continue encouraging them to purchase secondhand clothing to exemplify the trends that they're seeing. So overall, both the rise of internet retailing and the effects of the pandemic have led to the rapid growth of secondhand clothing in recent years, and a range of new digital native players and initiatives by existing clothing brands have emerged to capitalize on the growing potential.
Okay, so who are some of these new players that we're seeing in the resale game?
So it's really just a select number of kind of up and coming e-commerce marketplaces that are really moving the needle here in terms of the resale market. Obviously, with this boost that resale's been getting, those classic physical thrift and vintage shops that we all know and love, and also brands' own in-house resale programs. I know especially outdoor brands like Patagonia and North Face have some programs where they'll bring in their customers' clothes and either repair them and give them back to them, or offer them for resale. And those are all definitely getting a boost. But it's really these new players that are coming up. So one group of these new players are peer-to-peer social e-commerce marketplaces, which are websites like Depop, Poshmark, and Grailed. And on all sites like this, users can list items for sale themselves, and then they buy and sell directly from one another, with the platforms then taking a cut of the sales.
So it's kind of like a eBay for clothes.
Yeah, I think eBay is definitely a good comparison for all of these. I think one difference between these and some eBay shops is, well, all these websites are really only focused on apparel and footwear, and also some luxury goods, but also that element of the users kind of making their own profile and branding their stores. There's a real level of personalization between the shops that maybe we don't see on something like eBay.
Right, and you're kind of in charge of your own brand versus sending your stuff off to have somebody else sell it for you, like a more traditional e-commerce setup, like ThreadUp. Can somebody talk a little bit more about a platform like that?
Yeah, so ThreadUp is what you would consider like an e-commerce thrift store, and consumers can go there to buy secondhand clothes directly from the company, which are sent in by other users and donated if they're unable to be resold. So there's a little bit of a difference where you don't really create your own profile to buy and sell. The company really kind of takes that step away from you. But on the other hand, the website also kind of looks more like an e-commerce store that you would expect. And ThreadUp and other similar companies have also started to offer resale as a service. So they're basically lending their technology and logistics to help brands launch their own in-house resale operations.
Oh, I didn't know that about ThreadUp. That's interesting. So on the higher end of the spectrum, when it comes to luxury goods, like we were talking about before, a company that has more of an authentication process, what do we have on that end of the spectrum?
Yeah, luxury sector is a key component of the resale market, and we can see some new luxury e-commerce consignment players like the Real, Vice Collective, and Farfetch's Stadium Goods, which authenticate designer goods brought in from sellers and offer them for sale on consignment.
So the important difference there is the authentication. So you know for sure that you're getting the designer thing that you were shopping for. And so I imagine that these platforms, being as different as they are attracting different types of consumers. So what motivates different consumers to choose one platform over another platform?
Absolutely. Well, I think we see consumers like attracted to resale in general for some of the same reasons. Things that we talked about at the beginning, like the environmental benefits, some of the price advantages, and then the ability to follow trends and like update your wardrobe frequently. But what attracts consumers to, specific platforms in particular, I think is really based on what their preferred brands are and what platforms they can go to find those brands. And then also their preferred selling or buying experience, because each platform does offer something unique in that way. For example, the users of the peer-to-peer social e-commerce marketplaces, like Depop, are primarily Gen Z and millennials. So not only are they looking for a more sustainable way to both get rid of their past clothing, clean out their closets, but also to acquire some new pieces that will help them to follow social media trends. Many are also drawn to these sites by their more entrepreneurial components, as they offer the users the chance to really run and brand their own secondhand e-commerce clothing businesses, in addition to giving them the chance to meet and mingle with some of the other like-minded users on the platform.
Okay, yeah. So some of the stuff we talked about earlier about that like personalized brand and kind of coming to the platform looking for a more social experience. What about the platforms that are like ThredUp?
Right. So ThredUp doesn't really offer a social experience to the consumer, but ThredUp has grown really quickly by serving mainly middle income consumers who are looking for a more structured resale shopping experience. So like I mentioned, when you go on their website, it does look like any e-commerce retailer, which makes it pretty intuitive to kind of shop around. So to give you an example, visitors to the ThredUp site can find women's and children's clothing from national brand names, as well as some designers, and all of the items are well organized and searchable by both brand and category. For those looking to sell their pre-owned clothing through the site, they can request a closet cleanout kit, and there the customers pack their used clothing, which ThredUp will either buy from them to resell on their own site, or they will simply donate it if they're unable to reuse it.
Ah, yes, I am very familiar with the closet clean out kit. I've done a few in the past year and a half. So it sounds like these are shoppers who are looking for something that feels a little bit more traditional, where, all of the pictures look like they do on the Gap's website. Like it looks like what they're used to shopping in a non-resale shopping
Exactly.
experience. So then what's going on with the luxury platforms? What's driving consumers to buy resale through these platforms?
Yes, as I have mentioned earlier, luxury goods have been a key component of the resale market in the US for a long time. But now the new e-commerce luxury consignment players have made it easier for consumers to both purchase and sell authentic luxury goods. But for the purchasing customers, such companies enable them to obtain used luxury goods at a discount and purchase limited edition items that are no longer available on the primary market. Meanwhile, the ability to easily resell luxury goods has led more consumers than ever before to see luxury purchases as an investment. And as a result, many are increasingly purchasing higher valued items. So luxury goods companies, including Gucci owner Kering, has backed financing rounds for platforms like Vesture Collective, and brands like Stella McCartney have also built some partnerships with one or more resale platforms.
So the consumers that are going to these luxury resale platforms are like collectors or investors, but they're buying Birkin bags instead of bonds. It seems like there's a lot of variance between all of these different companies. So how have they all responded to the market growth in the past few years?
Well, the peer-to-peer marketplaces have really been taking advantage of this market growth by trying to raise funds to help them even grow their market share further, and also expand to some new markets. So as an example, Poshmark actually went public in January 2021, and its shares closed up more than 140% on the first day of trading. In the months since, the company has rolled out new tools for its sellers, They actually acquired a sneaker authentication company. And most recently, Poshmark unveiled its Brand Closet program, which is a brand new program that's going to help Poshmark to bring more large clothing brands onto the platform and help them launch their own resale programs through the Poshmark site. Then at the same time, Poshmark's competitor, which is the UK-based Depop, was acquired by Etsy in June 2021. And Etsy did that in large part just to draw more of Depop's Gen Z users into the company's ecosystem of peer-to-peer marketplaces, which we know sell a lot of unique items, handcrafted goods, things like that.
Mm. So speaking of IPOs, ThredUp had an IPO this year too, right?
Yes, it did. It had an IPO at the beginning of 2021, and it continues to focus on the sustainable aspects of its business. When you go on its website, you can see they really highlight the negative impact of the overall fashion industry on the environment, and they really stress the unsustainable nature of the fashion industry's current production model. And since its inception as an online thrift store, ThredUp has increasingly been offering resale as a service to many well-known brands, such as Fabletics, Reformation, and Gap, just to name a few. These moves align with the company's goal of creating a more circular fashion industry, which has been a buzzword recently, where less items are discarded into landfills at the end of the day. So moving forward, we expect more companies to partner with ThredUp as they attempt to meet their sustainability goals. Just to give you an example, Adidas is planning to launch its Choose to Give Back program in partnership with ThredUp in early 2022. Adidas sees the partnership as a really important step in promoting a circular product life cycle and in helping it reach its commitments to help end plastic waste. Through the partnership, consumers will be able to send clean out kits, much like they did on the ThredUp site, and Adidas will accept used footwear, apparel, and even sports gear. All of these items will then be resold on ThredUp, and if the item is really used, it's not in adequate condition, it will go through ThredUp's network of textile reuse partners. So no items will end up in a landfill at the end of the day. And as it seeks continued growth, ThredUp will likely focus on partnering with more brands and retailers to expand consumers' access to the secondhand and circular economy.
I love that. I feel like so many times we end up cleaning out our closet with this big pile of clothes, and it's like I can't sell them, but I don't know what to do with them. And knowing that there's a company out there that will figure out how to dispose of it so it's not in the landfill it's got to be a big draw for a lot of people.
Definitely.
Yeah. What about the luxury brand resale? How have they been responding in the past year and a half, 2 years to all of this growth?
Yeah, the luxury players, they are increasing their advertising budgets to draw new customers online. But also we can see that they are increasingly opening stores across the country to attract both buyers and sellers. For example, the Real opened a store on Chicago's Michigan Avenue in October 2020, following another store opening on New York's Madison Avenue in May 2019. And additionally, the company is increasingly partnering with primary market retailers like Mazarisa to incentivize customers to resell their luxury items. And also, the Real is expanding consignment to new categories like sports and outdoor gear, because they see that a quarter of the site's traffic comes from male shoppers. And the Real believes that by expanding its assortment across these additional categories will both appeal to existing customers and attract new members.
Well, that's really interesting that these companies, specifically like the Real, who started off in the e-commerce sphere, is now making the move to physical spaces. Do you think that's because consumers are putting more investment into these goods, so perhaps a physical space is necessary sometimes?
Yes, I think so. And I think it's a good way for their marketing strategy to attract more consumers.
Right. So maybe a shopper goes in one time and sees that these are quality items, and then they'll continue to shop e-commerce in the future. Looking backwards from this point, it seems that the needs and values of consumers during the pandemic have been a huge boon to the fashion resale market. But how do you expect that the market will perform over the coming years? Will this growth stick?
Yeah, I think as consumers' attitudes toward both buying and selling secondhand clothing continues to evolve with changing environmental, economic, and social influences over the coming years, the resale market in the US is only expected to continue its fast pace of growth, which will continue to be driven by the strategies of the key players we have just mentioned earlier. And as secondary market clothing sales grow, the sales of new accessories, apparel, and footwear, as tracked by Euromonitor International, will be negatively impacted. However, the primary market sales for luxury brands are expected to remain strong because many consumers will continue to be motivated to trade up to higher-end brands, they knowing they can resell the products later.
Okay, so as more consumers might start buying more in the resale market, that doesn't necessarily mean that the luxury brands are going to see the impact as much because people might see these items as investments.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so then given all of this, do you guys have any advice for brands and retailers?
Yeah, I think the brands and the retailers, they must decide now whether or not to participate in the resale market and determine the approach that best serves its brand and its customers. They can choose to ignore it and cede our resale revenue to the existing resale platforms, but they can also partner with an existing resale platform to get some insights on resale behavior or open their own resale operations.
Okay, so now is the time that they need to decide if they want to capture those resale transactions because they're going to happen anyways. People are going to be buying and selling, so opt in or opt out.
Yeah, but if they want to engage in resale, the brand must answer some new questions, like who its real target consumer is and how products can be designed with multiple owners in mind. And only by answering these questions and many other questions can brands and retailers adapt their business to take advantage of the growth in the circular economy.
In a way, do you think then if brands and retailers are going to have to rethink their products, that the growth of the resale market is going to reshape the retail landscape in general?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I think it will definitely somehow reshape the retail market because we can see the increasing importance of sustainability as a consumer and also as a company. And as we have mentioned earlier, considering the impact of COVID-19, consumers are more sensitive to price. So I think it will somehow reshape the retail market.
Brands are going to have to start thinking about design from the beginning to make their goods a little more durable for people to make the initial investment.
Yeah, right. And I just see some new format of resale.
Mm-hmm.
At first, they just reproduct the apparel with different used pieces to produce a new product and sell it to some consumers. But it's also somehow secondhand, right?
Right. So repurposed resale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I hope to see something like that. So I want to thank the listeners for joining us today for this episode of Euromonitor International's Fashion Friday. I hope you've learned something new about the fashion resale market in the US. Remember to look out for Euromonitor's Fashion Friday podcasts on the last Friday of every month and find all our multimedia, including podcasts, videos, and articles at euromonitor.com/insights. Thank you, Ben, Olivia, and Chitong for chatting with me and sharing your insights today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
It's been my pleasure. Now, my final question for you is, what secondhand item are you rushing out to buy today?
I don't think I need any new items today, but I'm definitely going to be looking for something to wear on Christmas.
I've been seeing so much velvet out in the stores. I feel like it's just ready for holidays.
Oh, I've never tried velvet before. Maybe this is the year.
Anybody else rushing out to find a good secondhand item?
Yeah, maybe, but not today because I will relocate to Chicago tomorrow. So I don't want to have any more stuff at this time. But after that, I will think about have some maybe handbags.
You can restock your whole closet with secondhand goods.
Yeah.
Olivia, anything you've got your eyes on?
Since we've been talking about how luxury resale can really be an investment, maybe that's something I'm going to have to start looking into.
Yeah, there are certain handbag brands that actually appreciate in value. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's like Chanel handbags actually appreciate in value.
Birkin bags definitely do, just because they're rare.
Yeah.
But I think Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci have all been known to either like maintain their value really well on the resale or even appreciate sometimes if maybe like an old vintage style gets seen in a movie or is seen by a celebrity wearing. It can really get a boost in the resale price.
That's so fascinating to me because like my car depreciates in value, but I could buy a Birkin bag for $40,000 and it would appreciate.
So just drive your Birkin bag to the store.
I will do that. Well, thank you all again, and let's all go clear out our closets and make some money on Depop.
Let's do it. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.